Hello class, and welcome to lesson 6.5, solving multi-step problems using polynomial equations. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm just going to underline the title, is that we need to remember that whenever we're dealing with multi-step problems, usually you have to do more than one calculation. So what we need to do is create an introductory equation showing the addition or subtraction of two different parts. So say, for example, I had a farm silo like that, and I wanted to find the volume of the silo. I'm going to say volume total equals the volume of the cylinder plus half the volume of a sphere. So something like that. And I don't mind if you use words or if you draw diagrams. So that's what we're looking for in terms of what we call an introductory equation. All right, let's pretend we are Count Dracula, ha 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 ha, and that we are making a new coffin to sleep in. Here are the dimensions as shown. Determine the volume of the coffin. That would be how much oxygen space or air space is in there with his body. All right, so how much space goes inside? So what we need to recognize, first of all, is that this is not one simple shape. We have a combination of two shapes. So we're going to say, first of all, volume total equals the volume of the bottom part, okay, and that's going to be of a rectangle, so you can write that down, plus the volume of the top. Now, what's the top? It's actually half a cylinder, so I'm going to go half the volume of a cylinder. Okay. Now what we're going to do is figure out the dimensions of the rectangle. So what do we know the formula of the rectangle is? Look on your formula sheet. It's length times width times height plus volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. But don't forget we got to divide by 2 because of that fraction. Okay. All right, let's sub in the information we know. So looking at the length, ladies and gentlemen, you've got 7 times the width, which is 3, times the height, ladies and gentlemen, which is 2.5. That's the volume of the bottom, or the bottom box. Now to do the volume of the lid, we sub in the radius, and the radius is given as 1.5, so be careful here, 1.5 squared times 7, all divided by 2. Okay? To simplify this, ladies and gentlemen, do the calculations of the rectangle first. So you should plug in your calculator and get 52.5 plus get all the calculations done except for pi. So it's going to be 7.875 pi. And then in your calculator, plug that all in together. And you should get 77.2275. And what are our units here, folks? They are feet cubed. Now, the only thing we need to remember about feet is that that's the imperial system. And do we use decimals on a regular basis? So if you want, if you want to have perfect communication, I want you to realize that we need to change that to a fraction because imperial uses fractions. So I'm going to say 77 and approximately 1/4 feet cubed. Okay. Again, that's just a communication error. Your knowledge is correct if you leave it as a decimal. However, communication, you need to tell me that, hey, I know that the imperial system does not use decimals. All right. That's dealing with the volume of the coffin. Let's take a look at something else. Determine the outside surface area of the coffin. So say you wanted to stain it or paint it. Calculate the outside surface. Now this is a little more complicated because there are more sides to think about here. So what we need to do is say surface area total with a T at the bottom equals, okay, first of all we have 2 ends, okay, which is this one and the other one, okay, plus 2 sides, which is this one and the other side, right? Okay, I'm going to run out of colors here. Plus 1 bottom, which is that bottom part there, right? Okay, so far we've kind of got the bottom area taken care of. Now we need to take a look at these semicircles here. So how many of those do we have? We have 2 of those, so plus 2 semicircles. Okay, and what's that actually going to make? That's actually going to make a circle plus the top. Oh, I need to get a different color here. Let's see if we can do this. Plus 1 top. Okay, and that's this curved area there. All right. So taking a look at our formulas, subbing everything in, we have 2 times the ends, and the ends are going to be your width times your height. Okay? Plus 2 times the sides, which is going to be length times height. Plus the bottom, which is going to be your length times your width. Okay? Plus 2 semicircles. 2 because there's 2 of them. And pi r squared divided by 2 because it's a semicircle. What you notice here, ladies and gentlemen, is the 2 semicircles cancel out to make just 1 circle. If you haven't recognized that as well. And keep going here. And what do we know about that arc top area? It's going to be pi times the radius times the height, which is radius times the height. I'm sorry, the length in that case. Well, if you put it up on that side, yeah, we'll pretend it's the cylinder there, so we have to take a look at that way. Okay. So here we go. Let's take a look at that. All right. Subbing our information in. Okay. So it's 2 pi r times, sorry, I'm just backing up here, guys. It is the length, although if you're taking a look, it's going to be, okay. So 2 pi r divided by 2. So let me back that up, guys. I want to explain that so you understand this. Okay. So first of all, we realize that it's half, okay, because it's not a full cylinder, it's half. So it's kind of like 2 pi r divided by 2 times the length of it. So taking it across its length. Okay? Because this circle area is, if you think about a circle, it's half of a circle. So it's 2 pi r divided by 2. So what happens is these two will cancel out. So you're left with just pi r times the length, which is 7. Okay? So let's sub in our information. So you've got 2 times 3 times 2.5 plus 2 times 7 times 2.5 plus 3 times 7 plus pi times 1.5 squared plus pi times 1.5 times the length, which is 7. Okay, plug in your calculator, guys. Do each individually. So 15 plus 35 plus 21 plus 7.065. Okay, plus 32.97. Plug it all together. We're going to get 111.035. That is so significant that we're going to say approximately equal to 111. Okay, so therefore total surface area is 111 feet squared. Okay, any questions? I'm just going to flip back because I'm wondering if I forgot my therefore statement. Let me just double check here. I did. Sorry, guys. Let's put this back in here. So therefore, total volume, because it's a word problem, is 77 1/4 cubic feet. All right. So now we'll finish the last question here. If I move it down. All right, C. Count Dracula wants to cover the outside of the coffin with a fancy teak wood. He figures that he will need an extra 10% for waste, because when you cut things and do lengths and measurements, you sometimes need extra. Okay? The teak costs $15 per square foot before taxes. What is the before tax cost of the wood? Well, first of all, we need to figure out the total lumber, or total wood. So total wood is going to equal 111 times, we have to take a look at the extra cost, so that's going to be 1 times 1, 0, because you're going to have 10% extra. Okay, so plug that in your calculator, and I think you should get 122.1 feet squared. Okay, so that's the total wood, so I'll put that down as feet squared. Even though, ladies and gentlemen, it's decimal, we don't worry about that because that's not our final answer. Okay, so the cost equals the price per square foot times the amount of wood. And that amount of wood has to be in square feet. So subbing that in, you're going to have 15 times 122.1. Okay, plug it in your calculator, and you're going to have $1,831.50. So therefore, the wood cost $1,831.50 before tax. Okay, just on a side note, folks, if they ask you to do tax, remember, just take your total, which should be, so if it's tax in, take your total, which is $1,831.50, and times it by 1.13 will give you your total. Okay? All right? The 1 means you got to pay for the product, and the 0.13 is your tax. All right. So, homework, ladies and gentlemen, page 125 to 127, numbers 2, 4, 5, 7, AB, 8, 13, and 14. See attached formula sheet or workbook, same pages, to help you. All right, guys, have a great day, and see me for extra help. Bye-bye.